So what? Says so what Sajid, but it means something. The only question is precisely what. The eminent historian, Dr. David Starkey, is here. Let me ask you about that Guardian guy's tweet there. It doesn't seem terribly psychologically healthy to be cheering on your own societal demise in that way.
I suppose, especially when you're called Monbiot, if one's allowed to call attention to that kind of thing. One of the things there are several things, big strands. I mean, there's one that you've highlighted, which is that we've actually, immigration has represented 10% of the gross population in the last decade. Now, that is those are the kind of figures that you would expect in immigrant societies like Canada, like America, rather than a stable European country. It's an extraordinary increase. But the other face of this is, one of them is the self-hatred. The self-hatred of somebody like Monbiot. And this goes back a very, very long way. This is something that you will find in Gilbert and Sullivan. Gilbert and Sullivan are fashionable because of the attack on the ENO. But the great song in the Mikado, those who sing the praises of every century but this, and every country but their own. And then George Orwell, in his great essay, The Lion and the Unicorn, the British intellectual, which, of course, George Monbiot is an absolutely archetypical British intellectual. They see that Britain is somehow not like Europe. And Europe has got food. Europe has got ideas. Europe has got sophistication. We want to be like them. So there's that. And then I think there are other things as well. We've always had, fundamentally, a rather weak central identity. Being British was always for export. Back home, we're talking about this last week. Back home, you're English, you're Scots, you're Irish. And this weak identity, this weak formal, in other words, what appears on your passport. It's one of the reasons why this has gone, as it were, slipped under the radar, why it's possible to do a so what. In Hungary, there's a thing called a Hungarian. In France, there's a thing called a Frenchman. Here, what is there? There is no such thing as British.
Well, it's only, if we go back to the 1948 British Nationality Act, which made a quarter of the world British subjects, and just on the eve of the age of mass immigration, the formal position of His Majesty's government was that there is no distinction between a British subject in Kingston here, Kingston, Ontario, Kingston, Jamaica, or Kingston anywhere else. We're all just British subjects. But we've gone beyond, I think we've gone beyond that now, because this self-hatred, this self-loathing, Britishness is only invoked by people like George to complain about how white bread, Christian, tedious,
No. Englishness. Englishness is the hate nationality. Of course, it's the Scots hates nationality, but it's also the intellectuals. Britishness was very cleverly redefined by Gordon Brown and a group of, as it were, alienated intellectuals, one of whom is now chairman of the British Academy, Sir David Cannadine, in the 1990s. We're the only country that says its essential defining national characteristic is tolerance. We don't stand for anything. We stand indeed for anything. We will take anything. And there's a measure of truth in it, isn't there? I mean, I can think of no other country where barricades wouldn't have been mounted. Because one of the very peculiar things about English Britain is the very power of its unspoken sense of identity.